It's Saturday morning, live from across the Bostik Leagues. This is Back of the Net, where your weekend football begins.
So very good morning and welcome to the show. We're back once again this week and we are live from Bloomfields, the home of Needham Market, for their game against Enfield Town this afternoon. We're delighted that we're going to be joined by Richard Wilkins, the manager here at Needham Market, and Tom Rothery, the assistant manager. Actually waiting for Richard to make his way in, but he'll be here in a moment. Loads going on the show. As always, we've got interviews from Lee Dynan, the Whiteleaf manager, doing so well at the moment, top of Bostik Division 1 South. We also speak to a couple of managers that perhaps think their teams should be performing a little bit better. Steve McKim, the Tunbridge Angels manager, and Gavin Rose, the Dulwich Hamlet manager, join us. Sol Patterson Bonner, Tooting and Mitcham's captain, will be joining us live on the phone. And today, for the first time, you can watch the show. You can join us all the way through to 1 o'clock and watch us live on YouTube.
Your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the Net, where it matters.
So, welcome to the show. Very good morning to you, whatever you're up to this Saturday. As we mentioned, it's the very first show that you can watch the radio show. This is new technology for you, Mick. Watching the radio show on YouTube, people can see us now.
Great, yeah, ain't going to do me no harm, I suppose. But yeah, I'm really excited by this. But it gets us out there, and I know we want to engage a lot of the players and a lot of the managers and supporters. So hopefully, this YouTube experiment, and along with Facebook, possibly next week, we'll be out there.
Yeah, so you can, as I say, you can watch the show. You can listen to it as normal through the website, which if you're listening, I'm sure you are, or you can watch it on YouTube. If you're listening right now and you fancy a watch, then get onto our YouTube account, Back of the Net, and away you go. And you can see Mick between now and 1 o'clock.
And Ben.
Of course. It's a very good morning to Tom Rothery, who's the assistant manager here at Needham Market. We're still waiting on Richard to join us, but thanks for making it, Tom.
No
and
problem.
Looking forward to having you through to 1 o'clock.
Okay, yeah, looking forward to it as well, yeah.
And it's our first visit. Well, it's not Mick's first visit. Mick's been everywhere around these grounds, but it's our first visit as a show to Needham Market and to Bloomfields, and it's been quite some progression. Only a couple of years ago that you obviously got promoted to this division.
Yeah, I mean, in the last sort of probably 5 to 10 years, the club's risen sort of from step 5, step 6 up to step 3 now. So this is our third season. It's my second season with the club, so it's our third season in the Bostik Prem.
That's a pound in the jar.
Yeah, that will happen a few times, I think. Yeah, so first season was really tough. I wasn't here. I was at Brighton Sea Regent, but first season was really tough, but they managed to stay up, which was important, I think. And then last season, had a good season, I thought. We come 9th, won the Suffolk Cup, and then obviously this season we're looking to improve on that, which at the moment we possibly haven't made the start we wanted, but, you know, we'll improve, I think. So
it's a tough division. Everybody says it in every league, really, but it's a tough league. There's a lot of good teams, and there's teams at the moment that are in positions. There's quite a few teams that you think, well, they didn't really expect them to be there.
It kind of happened last year as well. I think when we were always in and around the playoffs. We was top at Christmas. I think everyone expected us to fall off, which unfortunately we proved them all right. I think again last season you had Dulwich didn't make the start that everyone thought they would. They had a good run in the FA Trophy, which sort of hampered them in the league a little bit, and then they come late and got into the playoffs. You know, and I expect the same this year. Tonbridge, who have not started brilliantly, they'll be in and around the playoffs. They're a good side. They've got a good manager. You know, so the league normally sorts itself out. Sort of January, February time, you'll start seeing teams that are in the positions where you'd expect them to be, in my opinion. But it is a really tough league, and actually, I think this season, the league's even tougher than last season. I mean, obviously you've got Billericay as a standout. What they've done this season in players-wise and, you know, around the ground, it's improved massively. But Leatherhead, you know, bringing in Sammy Moore, Jack Midson, people like that, you know, they're a very good side. So they've clearly improved, you know. And there's numerous others. Dulwich have got Ricky Howells in at centre back, top player. So, you know, there's a lot of clubs that have really improved their side. So, you know, the league's become even stronger this season, in my opinion.
And you'll have to let us know, because we haven't been here before, when Richard arrives. So we'll just bring him over. So if he's over there, then we'll get him in. Come in. Let's get you in straight away. We'll bring Richard over. Nice to see you here. And come in. We'll get you sat down, and we'll have a chat. Thanks for coming in, Richard. And get your get your headphones on. There you go. Luke will sort you out. And we were just we've just started the show by just talking about obviously your journey into this division and how tough it is, especially this year. And Tom was saying, with the likes of Billericay and we've got interviews today from Aidy Gallagher, Lowestoft Town, who you might know well, obviously been up this way, and Gavin Rose, Dulwich Hamlet, and both those managers, sort of the questions we posed to them this week were, it's been a tough start because they're not where they probably would want to be.
Yeah, I mean, Tom's probably mentioned, but it's a very, very tough league, and always has been, really. There's never been an easy league for any team to actually come in and get out straight away. Obviously, it looks like Billericay have got the resources maybe to do that this year, but yeah, you look at the league and you would expect Dulwich to be up there at the end of the season anyway. Very good footballing team. For us at Needham, it's about trying to be sustainable, probably for the next year or so, and hopefully we can push up and get into the playoffs, and that's our goal this year and sort of next year. So our goal's probably not quite as severe as some of the other managers in the league.
I spoke to one of the managers during the week, and I'm not going to spoil all the interviews that we've got coming up, but one of the things that I was told was that every club in the division will be aiming for a playoff spot. It's that kind of league that every club at the beginning of the season will say we want to be in the hunt for promotion. Otherwise, there's no point.
I think it's a bit like the Championship from that point of view. You look at the results every given Saturday, Tuesday. You'll look at the results and think, God, I can't believe they've gone there and won that, and beaten them. But it's such a competitive league that anyone can beat. I know it's a cliche, but anyone can beat anyone. And like Richard's just said, it's a really strong league. And that's proven out week after week in the results that you see. Kingstonian going to Billericay the first day. No one would have expected that. But at the same time, probably Mick wouldn't have been massively surprised at that, and neither would me and Wilkes, because anyone can beat anyone on their day.
With Billericay being in the league, I mean they haven't run away with it yet, and obviously say they've got beaten on the first day. But would you think it makes a lot of clubs think that they're going to be vying for a playoff place? As last year there may have been 3 or 4 clubs that almost right to the end thought they might have a chance of that automatic promotion. Are we in danger this season of perhaps that one place going up automatically being it's going to be Billericay's?
I mean, they should win the league, shouldn't they? With the resources they've got, they should win the league, so the pressure's on them. But there are, like I've already said, that Leatherhead are a very good side. There's other good teams, Dulwich, Tonbridge. There's plenty of good sides in the league. So whilst you expect Billericay and after that first loss, if they get momentum, which they look like they are beginning to get, they could become unstoppable. Yeah, definitely. But I just think anyone who's been involved in football, if you're not aiming to be in and around the playoffs or winning the Championship, what's the point of being involved? So you've got to aim high.
I mean, every manager's going to want to make the playoffs. It's as simple as that. But the fact is, there's only sort of 4 that can. So you look at Billericay and you think, yeah, you would think that they're nailed on. But sometimes I think a team that's got all the pressure on them, it's never, you always see every year that comes sort of early March, the teams near the bottom seem to pick up immensely and start beating the teams at the top. So I would imagine that Billericay would really want to get the league done and dusted as soon as possible. But the strongest teams in the league are often the ones with the strongest squad, and obviously Billericay have got the strongest squad, and Margate have got a good squad. Leatherhead, as Tom touched on, have got the big squads. Most of the other teams rely on sort of like 15, 16 man squad. So if you do pick up 3 or 4 injuries, then you are struggling for that depth in your starting 11, starting 16 sort of thing.
Do you have to adjust as the season goes on what you might expect of the players or of your season? Is it that kind of league where perhaps looking 7-8 games at a time and thinking, right, we can now do this, or we need these points to stay in the race for this?
Yeah, I mean, we tend to, I've always done it in chunks of games, first 6 games, then the next 6 games, and sort of see where you are. And often like what we've got, things crop up where, John Sands, who looked like he was flying second or third game pre-season, looked really fit, looked sharp, caused Colchester United first team a lot of problems here, then suddenly does a bizarre injury to his leg, which is very hard to diagnose, and then all of a sudden you're main man, if you like, who's going to get you that 25 goals a season, is out of the equation. So, do you go out and throw caution to the wind and bring in a player on silly money? Well, this club can't do that. So we'll work with the youngsters and try and pull them through. That's the nature of the beast here, But in football, things happen, and you have to adjust. And we've adjusted. And I heard Tom say that I think we're about 4 points down on where we should be.
Are you suggesting, Richard, that maybe you haven't got the budget or the criteria to be up there with the bigger boys in the top 5 this season? Or
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that I'm a manager who won't go out and spend silly money on players who I don't think are worth that. I won't go out and spend above what I think the player's worth. And I've spoken to, me and Tom have spoken to an awful lot of players. And some of the money that they want is just like, you're not worth that, sorry. And the budget here is competitive. But me as a manager have always done it when I was at Bury and Leiston. I will not go out and pay silly money for somebody when there's players in the team who aren't on anywhere near that money.
And would you say that those players in that team are going to be good enough for you to get up there in the top 5, where obviously most managers want to be? But being realistic, obviously, if you're not going to pay over the odds, which I totally understand, some of these players can play one club against another all the time. But have you, Mark's now the chairman. I don't know if he has any help you're good friends obviously from working together last season, but you'd like to think that him being the chairman now, he will help you, sort of give you the resources you need to take the club to the next level.
Yes, and to be fair, they are there, but it's just like we've tried to get players on loan, because we think that with Jamie Griffiths coming back, who's a player that we do rate highly, he's now playing games in reserves, getting lots of minutes. He will be a very good player for us, centre forward wise. All we're looking for is someone who could play wide or could play up front for a period of time. We've been in contact with Colchester United, who we get on very well, to try and get a loan player in for a period of time, and we've asked Ipswich Town as well, but at the moment nothing's happened our way. But as I say, I think it's a very quick fix to go out and spend an awful lot of money on a player who you actually think, well, is he going to be at the club for a substantial amount of time? All we're really looking for, if I'm being honest, is probably a player to come in for a month or two, just to help us out.
Plenty more questions that are going to come your way, and I know Mick has his what is it we're calling it, the big 6? Is that?
Well, it's a quick 6. Let's
quick
say.
6.
Yeah, I've tried to mix the questions this time round. So Richard, I've thought of a few good ones.
Quick 6 questions coming your way later on in the show. We're going to talk more about the game today against Enfield Town, but first let's hear from Andy Leeson. Caught up with him yesterday, and here's his view on everything Enfield so far this season. Enfield had a successful season last season. They got knocked out in the playoffs in the end to Dulwich Hamlet, but it was a strong finish to the season. Is it fair to say that fans would expect more from the team this year than where they are right now?
Hang on, you've got to be careful there, Ben. We can't compare eggs with it. It's a totally new team. The manager left in the summer and took basically the whole squad with him. So what I've come in the summer, and we're new manager, new playing squad. I've got 15 new players in the club, so I don't think it's not a valid comparison, if I'm honest. It's not last year's team, basically.
I guess that's one of the hardest things, isn't it? When you look at it from the outside, we tend to judge teams on what they did last season. Perhaps we look at some of the teams that are doing so well this year with new teams that weren't doing so well last year. Yeah. But in non-league football, there is that turnaround of players that maybe it really isn't a comparison that we can make.
Well, I think it's probably a slightly unfair comparison. I say it's just not the same team. So we had this big changeover in the summer. I joined in June, and so we were left with 2 players from last year. But our ambition is to be in and around the top half of the division for sure. We are a little bit, notwithstanding that we've had to rebuild and everything that goes with that. We are a little bit disappointed, and we feel we're 5 or 6 points behind the target that we set for ourselves, but it's way too early to start getting concerned or making any comparisons. We've had the FA Cup as a bit of a distraction the last 2 or 3 weeks, but it's been a fantastic distraction. We're still in the competition, but we need to start making an imprint in the league and picking up some points, hopefully starting tomorrow.
You've almost answered all the questions that I was going to ask in one there, but you've had back-to-back defeats in the league. What's been going wrong? What's the kind of thing that you'd like to see changed in your team?
Yeah, it's disappointing. But both games we made some errors in both games that we lost at Brightlingsea and Wingate. I didn't feel we worked hard enough. We came off the back of a very good FA Cup win against Harrowborough. Went to Brightlingsea and so we didn't work hard enough, and probably deserved a draw there in the end with our second half performance. In Wingate we gave the ball away a little bit too often for my liking. So there are issues that cause that behind those defeats which I feel are we recognised and they're capable of being rectified, and that's what we've been doing. We've been spending our time on the training ground, working hard on what to improve. But that's been the case since pre-season. I say with a whole new squad and settling down, with a different philosophy of how we do things, a different playing style. So we've had to work hard at that. But we know why we lost. We think we do anyway. And we've worked hard to put it right. The proof of the pudding will come along tomorrow. It's unfortunate with the league. We get the one league game tomorrow, then we get a League Cup game on Tuesday night, and then an FA Cup game next week. So I say start making an imprint on the league. We're not getting many opportunities to do it, if I'm honest. So it does make tomorrow really important, because I don't want to. We don't want to be going into cup competitions and staring at the league table, and we're in the wrong half, as it were. So it is important tomorrow we get it right.
And before I let you go, I must touch on that cup run though, because it can be important not only financially for a club, obviously, but for that momentum and perhaps a little bit of belief that maybe you need in the league to get into the third round qualifying. It's no mean feat. Oh yeah,
listen, it's a great distraction, and I don't let anybody tell you any different. It's you're right. The financial rewards are important for any club at any level. So we're delighted to put a bit of money into the club coffers. But yeah, just the prestige as well. I mean, I've been fortunate. My last club, Cheshire United, I was there for 10 years, and the last 2 years before I've joined Enfield, we've had fantastic cup runs. We reached the second round proper and then the first round proper. So I know the rewards it brings. The chance to go and pit your wits against top opposition, professional opposition, too good to miss. So it's a distraction that we welcome at the moment. We'd like to think we're going into cup games next week on the back of at least a point tomorrow, and hopefully all three. But it won't be easy. Needham Market were one of the top sides last year. I know they faded away a bit towards the end. It's going to be a tough afternoon up there, but we're looking forward to it and the challenge. We've done well this week with our FA Cup win on Tuesday, and good lively training session last night. So looking forward to it all.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
Yeah, it's fair to say that he didn't quite enjoy my first question that said, Mick, that they'd done so well last year, and he pointed out, rightly so, that change of manager and lots of turnover in players as well, so it's a completely different squad, and I think he was beginning to say you couldn't compare those teams at the beginning.
I'd agree with him, yeah. He's right to sort of pull you up on that, honestly. At the end of the day, he's building a whole new squad. I'm not so sure whether Richard's had to build a whole new squad, whether you've just... Mark's probably handed you over a squad of players that both of you had last season. Have you added to that squad just out of interest?
Yeah, we've added 2 or 3 players and lost a couple. So we're, I'm not a manager that at the end of the season will get rid of 8 players and bring in 8. I think that normally I just sort of like a 3 or 4 player manager who just sort of tries to just fill in maybe the gaps that players that previously maybe haven't managed to maintain the levels that are required.
One of the things that I was asking him, the reason why I asked the question was the expectation. As supporters of clubs, Enfield are quite well supported club, and they finished last season obviously in the playoffs and lost to Dulwich. That expectation from fans, sometimes it's a bit different when you're in the club, because as a supporter of a football club, you're kind of looking at it and think, well, we finished here last year.
Well, they're a fan-owned club as well, aren't they? So there might be even different pressures there, but it is difficult. They've had a massive turnover. Obviously, Brad went to Braintree and he's took a lot of their players with them. So I think there's only 2, maybe 3 players remaining at Enfield, which Mickey Parcel will be one of them. So they haven't got many players. So obviously Andy's brought in a lot of new players, and probably explains why they've had a bit of an up and down start. But they have picked up recently. They had a good cup result Tuesday, won 5-0. They went to Tooting about 2 weeks ago and won 4-0. We went there and drew, so that shows that's a good result. So they're certainly starting to improve.
Is it more difficult slightly when you mentioned there about changing players and that you'd only bring in 3 or 4, and you've heard that from a lot of top clubs when you go up to Premier League level as well. They all say just add a few because you need to keep that, for the fans, for the consistency, the morale in the squad, just keep the main squad together. But is it a little bit more difficult today when you're playing a team that perhaps has had the turnover of players that you might not know everything there is to know about them?
Yeah, exactly. I've got quite a network of knowledge on players, so I know the majority of them. Drew Roberts was a very good player, or still is a very good player, but he was in the other league, the Evo Stick league, and he's always scored goals wherever he's gone. So we know the sort of basic of the players, but obviously when there is a big turnaround, it's probably taken the manager a long time as well to get his thoughts across. But I know that he's brought over a few of the players that he had from Chesham as well, so that will help him out. But no, I think that when a manager leaves, like Brad did, he took the majority of the squad with him, and understandable. He's worked with them for a long time. So he knows what levels that they can play at, and they're doing very well, in the Conference South. So. It's part of football. It's very unpredictable, and things can change, and sometimes change for the better, sometimes not so beneficial for the fans and the supporters.
Yeah, really looking forward to the game this afternoon. We'll talk more about the game a little bit later between Needham Market and Enfield Town. Right now we're going to do our non-league football quiz. It's that time of the morning, and probably first chance to say good morning to our producers. Remy and Luke are going to take part in the quiz today. Remy's been adjudicating the quiz for the first 6 weeks of the season on the show, and we've decided that enough's enough. Now she needs to take part and play. So you looking forward to this, Rem?
It depends, because they've been very tricky so far, and I think they've been a bit unfair. But yeah, we'll see.
And Luke's playing along today as well.
Luke, it's fine.
We added a bit of competition around the table. Now, we always offer it out actually for you guys to play together, but we won't today. I think we should keep you as individuals. So, have you both got a pen there and everything?
How does this affect the league table factor?
They don't have a league table.
Oh, that's all right then. That's okay. We'll let them do it then.
I was tempted to throw in the question, which Premier League team, when they were in non-league, won the FA Cup? I was going to see if you'd get the answer, Mick.
Wow, he's got to get that, surely.
I will in a minute.
No pressure.
Which current Premier League team won the FA Cup?
Tottenham, thank you.
Right, there we go.
Give me a little bit of time, Ben. Come on, I'm getting on in years now.
If you haven't been listening before, that question appeared twice, both our FA Cup rounds. It was slightly different each time, but Mick, you didn't pick it up, did you?
Thank you, Ben.
That's all right, I thought I'd point that out.
This is the non-league football quiz.
So 5 questions, and we'll go through the questions first of all, and then we'll do the answers afterwards. Everybody's got paper and ready to go, so we'll get straight in with the first question today, and it's a good one.
Question 1.
Okay, right. This is a timed question. Now, if you're playing along, you can time yourself as well. You have 45 seconds on the stopwatch to name as many teams as you can in the Bostik Premier Division. Off you go, and we'll give you a point for each one. 45 seconds to name as many teams as you can in the Bostik Premier Division. This is as much about how quickly you can write and think as it is about your knowledge of the teams. 45 seconds is quite a long time to do this.
Really?
And you can let us know, official BOTN, how you get on across social media. Interestingly, how you'd go with this one. Do you try and do the league table as it is, or do you try and do alphabetical, or do you just write down any random name that comes into your head? Got 10 seconds left on the clock to name as many Bostik Premier Division teams as you can. Seems like an age, this 45 seconds. Are you guys writing it down? And stop. No more writing. Dara, if you see any writing, then... Okay, we'll go through the answers very shortly. That was the first question kicking us off today.
Question 2.
Question 2 is Jake Robinson, playing for Billericay, Kimo Darbo, who plays for VCD Athletic, and Chris Smith, who plays for South Park, are joint top goal scorers across all 3 Bostik divisions. They've got 7 goals each, but how many of their combined 21 goals were penalties? A, none, B, 3, or C, 7. So Jake Robinson, Kimo Darbo and Chris Smith are joint top scorers across all 3 Bostik divisions with 7 goals each. Combined total of 21 so far this season, but how many of those were penalties? 0, 3 or 7? Official BOTN for your answers. Got an answer, Mick?
Yeah.
Have we all got an answer?
Yeah.
All good to go.
It's probably not
Question
right.
3.
Manchester United and England defender Chris Smalling started his football career in the Isthmian Leagues, but with which club? Is it Maidstone United, Hungerford Town or Staines Town? He started his career in the Isthmian Leagues with Maidstone United, Hungerford Town or Staines Town. Mick's ticking over nicely. Have you got an answer for that?
Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, you know that one. There you go. It's one for you, Mick.
Thank you.
Question 4.
Which Suffolk club reached the FA Vase final 3 years in succession in the 2000s and lost all of them? Is it A, Lowestoft Town, B, AFC Sudbury or C, Bury Town? Which Suffolk club reached the FA Vase final 3 years in succession in the 2000s and they lost all of them? A, Lowestoft Town, B, AFC Sudbury or C, Bury Town? Know that one, Mick?
I thought I did, and I changed my mind.
He put something down, and then you went through the options, and it wasn't one of the options.
Well, no, it was one of the options,
Oh,
but
was it?
it was one of the options, but they won it. So
That happened. That happened last time out, wasn't it? Somebody
right.
had an answer, and then once I didn't realise I was going to give them options. Okay, so we've all got answers for that.
Question 5.
Which National League side play at the Silver Lake Stadium? Which National League side play at the Silver Lake Stadium? Is it A, Boreham Wood, B, Ebbsfleet United, or C, Eastleigh? Which National League side play at the Silver Lake Stadium? A, Boreham Wood, B, Ebbsfleet United, and C, Eastleigh. Remy, you've got that look as if you're really pleased to be taking part in this non-league football quiz.
I am. I'm really good. But I keep thinking of teams that are Bostic Premier, and I'm like, can I write it down? And I haven't. But I've got 3 more than what I've got.
Yeah,
In my
no
mind.
cheating on
No
that.
bit of cheating going on.
No cheating in that respect.
I haven't written any more.
Okay, that's the end of the 5 questions. We're going to go through the answers in a moment. It's official BOTN if you want to let us know how you've got on this morning.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page 1 journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this Old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
So welcome back to the show this morning. We're live from Bloomfields as we look ahead to Needham Market against Enfield Town. We've got Richard Wilkins, the Needham Market manager, and Tom Rothery, the assistant manager, with us in our makeshift studio today. And you can watch the show for the very first time. So if you're listening to us via the website, then you can go onto YouTube if you want to, and you can see what's going on. As I said, you can see Mick Sullivan for the next hour and a half live on YouTube.
Don't keep picking on me, Ben, will you?
Why wouldn't people want to see you in action, Mick?
Why wouldn't they want to see you in action? Or Luke in action? Or Richard? Or Tom?
Good look.
What about me?
Yeah, I was going to
Sorry,
say,
Remy.
missing the best looking one.
Hang on a second. Can we just... I thought there was someone doing some hoovering then. I was going to have to go and tell them off. Or we'd send Lisa to do it. But they've stopped. So we're going to go through the answers to the non-league football quiz.
Can I just interject quickly? We've had someone on YouTube giving some answers as well, so I'll be marking for them and giving their answers out. Thank you, Newfangled Moose, for giving your answers in.
Excellent name that is as well. Yeah, if you want to play along, then you can play along wherever you are. As we mentioned, I thought the hoovering was coming back on. It's distracting me.
Just keep going.
Let's go through the answers to the quiz.
The non-league football quiz.
So the first question I thought was good.
Question 1.
And it was basically asking you to name as many Bostik Premier League teams as you can. What I'm going to do is just ask you to tell me how many you manage. So Mick, we'll start with you.
9.
Okay, Mick, you got 9. What did you get, Tom?
I've got 12.
12 for Tom. Richard?
11.
Luke?
I've got 11.
I've got 11.
Okay, so...
Who's the adjudicator? I could say I've got 14.
No, because we're going to check them. But Tom, let's go through your list because you got the most. Who did you get?
I've got Billericay, Dulwich, Tonbridge, Needham, Brightlingsea, Leiston, Leatherhead, Margate, Enfield, Mersham, Harrow and Worthing.
Similar to everybody else's lists?
Yeah, I mean, they're teams from the Bostik Premier, so they're going to be close.
I meant, is there any else got that weren't on that list? Mick?
I don't know. Did you say Kingstonian?
No, I didn't say Kingstonian. No.
Kingstonian.
I got Met Police in there as well.
Yeah, sure.
Any other different ones for to?
Hendon.
Yeah, I got Hendon.
Dorking.
I got
Tooting.
Yeah.
Newfangled Moose got 6 in, and one of them including AFC Sudbury, so that's in the... FC Sudbury's in the north.
They used to be.
I'll tell you what, I wish I'd have done now. A better question would have been, you have to name 3 teams from the Bostik Premier Division, and here's one to play at a party. 3 teams from the Bostik Premier Division, but you don't get the point if someone else names the same team. That would have been better.
Oh, that's clever.
Because maybe
that'll be next week.
Yeah, we'll do that again next week.
We know what's coming now.
Well, Mick will forget the answers anyway.
Right.
Okay, so moving on. So we've got go through again. Darren, do you know how many everyone got?
I think so.
Yeah, so Darren's got it. It's fine. We can just move on.
Question 2.
Question 2 on the non-league football quiz. As I try and find the question, it was Jake Robinson, who plays for Billericay, Kimo Darbo, VCD Athletic, and Chris Smith, who plays for South Park, all joint top scorers across all 3 Bostik divisions with 7 goals each. But how many of their combined 21 goals were penalties, Mick Sullivan?
It's just a punt. I've gone 3.
I've gone 0 just because I know Jake hasn't got any, so I'm hoping neither of the other 2.
I've gone for 7 to be different to them too.
Luke, what'd you go for?
I've gone for 3, and Newfangled Moose, I'll go with the Len Goodman approach. 7!
I went for 0 as well because I was basing it on Jake's goals. But then I guess
strategy.
it's not reflective of...
No.
They could have still scored 3 on the other 2. But yeah, I went... And I thought it was a trick question as well. So.
Okay, Remy and Tom, you got the points for that because it was 0. So none of the goals, 21 goals so far between those 3 strikers, none of them have been penalties. In fact, the most penalties that have been scored are from Merstam's Ryan Hall. Yeah. 4 of his 6 goals have come from the penalty spot this season. Okay, so Dara's totting up all the scores.
Question 3.
Manchester United and England defender Chris Smalling started his football career in the Isthmian Leagues with which club? We gave you 3 options.
I think I'm wrong.
Maidstone United, Hungerford Town or Stainstown. Nick, we'll start with you because we have all
This is the answer, Maidstone.
Well, I've put Maidstone as well, but I thought that's where he got sold from. I think he might have started at Hungerford, but I put Maidstone.
I put Maidstone, crossed it out and put Hungerford.
I've got Maidstone, and Newfangled Moose has also got Maidstone.
I put Maidstone.
The answer was Maidstone. He did actually start his career
Thank you.
at Maidstone United back
good.
in the Isthmian League days. Of course, they play in the National League now.
I'm on fire.
Question 4.
Which Suffolk club reached the FA Vase final 3
This
years
is
in
unfair,
succession
this
in the
one.
2000s and lost
Local
all
knowledge,
of them?
this, Mick.
Yeah.
A. Lowestoft Town, B. AFC Sudbury, and C. Berrytown. Thought we'd get a Suffolk question in as we're in Suffolk today. Mick, what did you get?
Well, I did write Lowestoft to begin with because I went and watched their final against, I think it was Parkside, something like that, a two-barreled name. But anyway, I changed it and went Sudbury because I know they got to a few finals early, sort of, when was you talking about, in the early 2000 time, when is it?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah, I've got Sudbury.
Sudbury, definitely.
Sudbury, yeah.
I went Sudbury, and that was a guess.
What did Newfangled Moose go for?
I think he must have got offline at this point because he didn't answer the
Okay,
question.
so maybe it was a pass.
Yeah, I put Sudbury as well.
Okay, the answer was AFC Sudbury. They 3 years in a row from 2003, they lost to Brigtown 2-1 in 2003. In 2004, they lost 2-0 to Winchester. And would you believe it, in 2005, they lost 3-2 to Didcot Town. But that seemed like the best of the 3 games. So commiserations to AFC Sudbury. I don't think they've been back since.
Don't think so. These lads would know more than me.
No, they haven't.
Sure.
Question 5.
Which National League side play at the Silver Lake Stadium? Was it A. Boreham Wood, B. Ebbsfleet United, or C. Eastleigh? Mick, what did you get?
Because I've never heard of it, I'm just wondering with Ebbsfleet sort of rebranding their whole ground, it could be Ebbsfleet.
Eastleigh.
Eastleigh.
Ah, they know.
Eastleigh ×2.
I put Boreham Wood. I had no idea.
So Newfangled Moose
Yeah.
came back on for this question.
Yes, yes,
right,
he did.
Just missed one out.
Yeah.
I think he probably just didn't know the
No,
Sudbury
the answer,
question,
no
to be
problem.
honest. The answer was Eastleigh. Yeah, Eastleigh play at the Silver Lake Stadium. So that's it. That's the end of the quiz. Right, Dara, if you come over to Remy's mic and come and let us know how everybody got on. Dara's been sitting there quietly in the background. She's teching the show today, and she's going to tell us how we all got on. Now, Mick, are you confident today?
No, I've been beaten hands down.
Let us know still, official BOTN. If you watch this again on YouTube, then just tweet us anyway. Let us know your answers. Okay, Dara, so how did we all do? Reverse order.
Reverse order, okay. I'm kind of still adding up the scores, so just give me a second.
This is good because this builds the tension.
Yeah,
This is what we do if we were on X Factor is we go for a little break right now and then we come back. But I think people probably wouldn't wait that long.
I think I'm last.
Well, there are quite a few
Ah.
people who are in joint places,
Oh.
so
Take that.
no one is completely lost. So in joint third place,
Or last.
Bottom.
we have Mick and
Richard.
Richard. In joint second place, we have our two wonderful producers, Remy and Luke. And in first, that can only mean one thing. Tom is the winner.
How many did Tom get?
Tom got one for all of them.
Got them all right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And what about Newfangled Moose? Where did he come if we put him into the...
Luke was keeping track of that one.
I think he came like second or third.
Quite a
He didn't
respectable
come first.
position.
He's going to be sitting
What
there
do we
now
win?
going, just didn't even pay attention.
What do we win, Mick?
Tom, there, turn round, you can have a choice of one of those sweets on
Oh,
that
yeah,
table,
lovely.
mate.
Also, the winner of the quiz gets a pint in the bar afterwards, mixed buying.
Fair enough, I don't mind that one, I don't mind.
He don't drink, so you bill.
Official
Result.
BOTN across social media. Let us know how you got on. Okay, right. Moving into Bostik Division 1 South and caught up with Lee Dynan yesterday, the Whiteleaf manager. Very happy Whiteleaf manager as well. They're top of the table after the first 8 games that they've played, and here's what he had to say. Lee, 8 games in, top of the league. Fantastic start to the season.
Yeah, we're keeping our feet on the ground. Obviously, it's early days. There's a few clubs that have started really well, and yeah, look, we've got a decent squad, and we finished off quite strongly last season. So we've continued it really. So yeah, we're happy.
Yeah, Tommy Hutchins on loan from Dorking Wanderers, 4 goals for you. He's obviously done really well since he's come in. Would there be a chance that he might stay on for a bit longer?
Yeah, I mean, look, we originally spoke to Mark in the summer. I wanted to get Tommy in, and obviously Mark's got an abundance of good strikers there. I think there's 5 of them vying for 2 spots on a match day. So I was always hopeful I might get him on a loan. So he's come in till the end of September, but himself will admit he's not ready yet for the Ryman's Prem, fitness-wise, sharpness-wise, and there's every chance we will have him till the end of October. So yeah, we should have him hopefully for another month or so.
What are the expectations this season? Did you expect to be leading the way at this stage? Do you expect to be up and around the playoffs this season?
Yeah, I mean, look, I got the job the beginning of last November, end of October. So I've nearly been 11 months. And when I came in, I was obviously at Farnborough for 5 years, and most of those 3 of those 5 years I was in the Conference South as assistant manager. And I'm very, very ambitious. So I came in to Whiteleaf and sat down with the chairman and just said, like, do you want to get promotion? And they do want promotion. And so it fitted quite well, and I wouldn't have gone anywhere that said happy to stay in the league. I just wouldn't have gone there. So yeah, it's the club want to be in the Ryman's Premier. I want to get back up the leagues as quick as I can. So yeah, I did expect us to be, if I'm being brutally honest, there or thereabouts. I didn't expect us to be top. Everyone says they're going to be top. It's just, yeah, you can never say that. But yeah, I would like to think that we'd be in the mix.
I think I asked the question because obviously last season you finished 14th, and that's quite some jump to then be right up there challenging to go up. But is the league a little bit like that? If you put the right squad together and you do the right things in the summer, you can do that.
Yeah, look, you got to have the players in any league to do whatever you want to do. You're only boys, aren't you? 2 hours on a Thursday and 2 hours on a Tuesday training if you haven't got a game on a Tuesday. So you're technically within 4 hours maximum. So you still need the players. You can't improve over a short space of time like that unless you get the right players in. So yeah, I mean, when I took over, we was just outside the relegation. And I literally had to change everything there. It's a great club, great facilities, very well run. But when I went in, the first team side of it was a bit of a shambles, if I'm being honest. The way it was, obviously there was a caretaker manager that taken over. It's nothing to do with him, but it's just the boys just, from one of their words was, yeah, I just want to play and have a pint after the game with my mates. And I said, well, that's not me. I'm too ambitious to be having a pint after a game with my mates. It's about winning and getting this club out of this league. So I had to change literally. I kept 3 players. I identified those just before I got the job. I'd watched them a few times and realised who I'd like and what kind of player I like, and they had 3 of them within the group, which we kept. So I had to change the whole lot literally over the course of last season, and it wasn't until like February times that I started to get like a settled back line and wingers and things like that I liked. And obviously I got Daniel Akaji in from Bromley, who was scoring for fun for us last season, to be fair to him. And yeah, so that was it really. Just got the players in over the summer. I needed 4 or 5 to add to the group that I had, and that's what I've done really.
There's quite a few cup competitions when you're at this level of football. You're out of a couple of them now after the Velocity Trophy defeat. Do you think in a way that might help you going for promotion, just to concentrate?
To be honest, yeah, like, I messed up. I hold my hands up. I said it. I've been interviewed before. I messed up with the FA Cup. I underestimated Erith Town. At home, I started literally a winger up top, giving people minutes, and I got it wrong. So we went there, and I've been in some mad games before, but that was just the replay at Erith was just crazy. It was 4 penalties in I think 7 minutes. And it was just, we got back into it. We got 3-3 and we went to penalties. We lost on penalties. And we didn't deserve to be in it because of what I'd done in the first time, a home tie. So I'll learn from that. But I mean, the League Cup, I generally mean this. I've got 26 players, and I would say 23 of them are like for like in ability and quality. So when we played Corinthian on Saturday at theirs, I had a different starting 10 to that starting 10 on the Saturday in the league. And if I'm being honest, if you speak to James, I think James will be honest and say that we gifted them 2 goals and we had 5 or 6 clear-cut chances to win the game comfortably, but we didn't take them. So, we're out of the cup. I'm not really, if I'm being honest again, bothered about the cup. I've got to concentrate on the trophy. Obviously, non-league clubs need money, and there's money to be earned in that. But yeah, it's about the league, mate. It's about getting the club out of this league and into the Premier.
I was going to say on that point, I should just add to that question that it was Corinthian Casuals, and they're a fairly decent outfit. So there's no, losing 2-1 to Corinthian Casuals is not by any means a big shock. So the
thing is, I want it to be, Ben. I want it to be a shock. So without being like, I don't know what the word is, really too forceful. I want people to think, oh God, Corinthian beat Whiteleaf. I want people to have that mentality now.
Back of the net, where it matters.
Fascinating interview with Lee. He's done so well since he's come in with Whiteleaf this season. They're leading the way at the moment, and interesting that last comment that he said, I want it to be a shock when teams beat us because I want us to have that reputation. He's got high expectations there.
Lee has always had high expectations, very confident person. I've known him quite a few years now. We do talk quite regularly. And I'm going to say it now, he hates it, the fact that I always thought they were going to be up there chasing the promotion spots, and he ain't let me down so far.
Yeah, do you think that they can sustain that form and stay up with the likes of, obviously, Carshalton in that division, South Park as well, and a few others, Lewis, that are up there at the moment? Yeah, definitely, because Lee's one of these guys that gets himself about. People like us managers, we got fingers in lots of pies, and Lee gets around different games, knows lots of players, even from the ex-professional level, so he knows plenty of people, and I knew they were going to do okay, and they've started off on fire. I've watched them play a couple of times, and they haven't disappointed, and as I said to you, I tipped them and South Park to be in that top 5, and at the minute they're both around it. And Richard, we haven't got any interviews today from Bob Bostic Division 1 North because we actually featured a lot of those teams in the show a couple of weeks ago. But do you pay a lot of attention now that you've moved up to that division, perhaps how teams are doing and players that are in there as well? Yeah, you've always got to have your finger on the pulse to see if there's somebody that's regularly scoring or getting good performances week in, week out. And we often send one of our couple of scouts to just have a look and just monitor certain players' situations. It's important that you do look at the lower levels, and obviously you can get some real sort of diamonds from that from levels, as we have, to be fair, with Ryan Gibbs, who's from the level below that. So you should always look for talent outside your league. Now, I know Mick has been dying to ask you a set of questions. Did we say 30 seconds, Mick, for these questions that we were going to do? Oh, it's my quick 6 questions. Quick 6. That's what we're calling it. Right, we're going to do it now. Mick really wants to ask you, did we say 30 seconds? These are slightly longer questions. But we'll do a minute. I'll tell you what, we're going to put a minute on the clock because we don't want Mick to grill you too much. So these are to Richard, yeah? Yes, to Richard, okay. Okay, but Tom can join in as well. You might need both of you, okay? I'll just say for anyone that's listening for the first time, this is Mick's brand new feature. We aired it last week, and it's his quick 6. So Mick's going to ask 6. And last week there were some difficult ones. So here we go. Minute on the clock. Off we go, Mick. Right. Member of staff or player that has a wag on his arm at games. Tom pass that over to Wilkes. Probably John Sands. Yeah, definitely, 100%. In the manager's opinion, who winds you up the most? Tom Rothery. What's the strangest comment you've heard from a home and away dugout? Yeah, I can remember once an away dugout got a man sent off and said we're going to play 4-3-3 now, which I thought was quite strange. They weren't going to have a goalkeeper. Good one. How do you celebrate a win when you're at home? Just a beer and a chat after the game and go home, but it does make the weekend a lot better. Which working manager wouldn't make your Christmas card list in this division? I get on with all the managers, to be fair. Come on, Richard. Come on, let's have someone. We have to have an answer. You got 3 seconds. Come on. I couldn't answer that, honestly. That's not one. He's out of time anyway. He's out of time. Mick likes to ask the awkward questions, and I think Mick, you're going to get a bit of a reputation now when we go to grounds, which is quite good because I think it's interesting. I liked that you slightly adapted them from last week. The last question, I can't wait for others to see if I've got the bottle to answer that. Well, I can't wait. The trouble is, I speak to most of them about the opposition that I'm going to play, so I don't want to cut any ties. Any manager that you've come across, perhaps that you don't have to be so careful of now, from lower leagues, etc., that you had a bit of a run-in with, perhaps?
No, honestly, I mean, sometimes, it's a passionate game, and sometimes you disagree over decisions. That you always get different angles, etc. But I can honestly say, if we have a bit of a moan up at each other, which has happened through the 18 years of me being manager, we always go in the bar afterwards and enjoy a pint and have a laugh, and that's how it should be done.
Tom, I've got to ask you. You seem so calm, Richard, sitting here. Is he like this in the dugout on a match day?
No, he is quite a calm bloke, and he's very sociable. So he does get, that is true. He does get on with all the managers, to be honest. And I think with the games, there is stuff that goes on between the dugouts, but more times than not, depending on the person, most people will just, once the game finishes, that gets shut down because both teams want to win. It's passionate, etc., etc. But some things do go after, but not generally. I've never really seen anything, but yeah, he does get wound up in games, 100%.
I've got to ask you that this is maybe an extension of Mick's question that you couldn't answer. It's a combination of the two. Not necessarily someone you've fallen out with or don't like, but what's the biggest sort of character you've seen in the dugout next year? Maybe some of the things that they've done or said. Who's been the sort of loudest, biggest character you've had in a dugout next year?
Last year was definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, Jimmy Bullard, 100%. He was on the pitch in our dugout. Yeah, at the corner flag, he was a nightmare, to be quite frank. But he was definitely the biggest character last year.
Brilliant. No, thanks. That's really good to. These are sort of questions I'm sure certain people are interested in hearing. I definitely am. So just putting that on. When you played last year, who was the one you really? The games that sometimes it all kicks off behind the dugouts. What game would you?
Yeah, it was the Leatherhead game with Jimmy Bullard here.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, I'm just going to open the question a little bit more because we talked to Mark White openly a few weeks ago about budgets. What would you say is a reasonable budget to compete to win this league or be in the playoffs?
I would imagine that the majority of teams are on similar budgets, but I would imagine, apart from Billericay, I would imagine the teams that, if you wanted to make the budget, the playoffs, you're probably talking of a budget of about 120.
Can you symbolise that? What would that be a week, let's say?
I would imagine, we do everything per month, so I would imagine around about 15 grand a month.
15 grand a month, you reckon, is a budget that
you should be getting the playoffs. I'm not saying we've got that budget.
No.
I'm just saying that's what I would imagine.
It's an interesting question, and I say that on behalf of a lot of managers out there that are obviously bending their chairman's ear off. So I'm going to ask that question to quite a few managers and just see what sort of scope we go from, because obviously I've got an imaginary figure in my head which I'll just think about near the end of the season. But thank you for being quite honest about that.
We do have a lot of managers that say to us they've got the lowest budget in the league. That's a common thing.
We haven't got the lowest budget.
It's nice to hear you say that.
But we certainly haven't got the highest.
Okay, coming up next, it's Mick versus the manager, which we do love, and we'll get you to compete with Mick and predict our 4 games. Before we do that, we're going to chat about some other games that are going on today. Obviously, always fascinating games throughout the leagues. And Mick's pretty good at this, but he's not leading the way, so there's definitely room for improvement here, Mick. Billericay against Tooting and Mitcham today, opposite ends of the table in the Bostik Premier League. This is not one of the games we're going to ask you to predict, by the way. But newly promoted Tooting and Mitcham United struggling a little bit. The league leaders Billericay have won 6 of their opening 7 league fixtures, losing just 1 on Tuesday night. Of course, they thrashed Thamesmead 5-0 in the FA Cup second round qualifying. Jake Robinson, as we've heard about earlier, scoring another hat-trick in the Cup 2. Tooting and Mitcham, on the other hand, they're yet to win a league game this season, and they've taken 3 draws and have suffered 4 defeats, finding themselves in a position at the bottom. However, Frank Wilson's side proved themselves against Bostik Premier League clubs, defeating Merstham 2-0 in the FA Cup. We saw that, and they lost to Folkestone and Victor in the second qualifying round. Still perhaps potential for them to get better, obviously, this season, but it's a real tough ask today against Billericay.
Look, we both love Frank, as you well know, but I think he needs to shore it up, and I know he's mixed his defence out around a little bit. I think he's recalled his loanee goalkeeper back from Whiteleaf, so whether that's I don't know quite what the reasons were for that, but so he obviously have an old goalkeeper back in there between the sticks today, and I think he's moved. I think so. It'll be interesting when we speak to Sol later, whether he will end up playing right back and then another centre back going. So I think he's rejigged the back line, because I could see he maybe felt that needed to be shored up a little bit better. I just think he'll go there and be. Is it away at home today to Billericay?
Billericay are at home.
Oh, right. I think he'll go there and shore it up and actually get plenty of men behind the ball, which I think he needs to do. He doesn't want to leave himself wide open, because we watch Billericay. They're very direct in their play. They're in your faces, and they've got some quality up top.
Now, we spoke to Harry Wheeler before the first show of the season, and he said that teams will come and a point at Billericay will be a good result. Is that something that you'd go there thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a good result, and I think the catalyst to playing Billericay is for them not to score early, and I think the longer you stay in the game, the more confidence you get as a team, and I think that they've got such an abundance of talent that the crowd could slightly work against them if it remains 0-0 and they get a bit frustrated. But going on to Tooting, I mean, we played them a few weeks ago, and I think they've got, their manager's got a lot of lads that are willing to work their socks off, and I think they just need to tighten up a little bit at the back, and they've got some good offensive players, so I'm sure that they'll start to get results, and I think it just proves that that it's a big step up from Ryman North, or was Ryman North, to go up to the next level Premier, because they won Ryman North last year very successfully, very clearly, and I think that it just proves the jump in the two leagues that they're sort of struggling a bit to start off with.
I'll put this question to both of you, Richard and Tom. Jake Robinson, can you make plans for a player of that quality? Can you? Is there anything you can do?
No. You can ask your defenders to be aware of him, and you can give them info about what he does and what he doesn't do, but he's just a good player. But to be fair, they've got several good players. I think Billy Bricknell's a hell of a player personally. I think he's a very good number 9. Obviously they've got Louis as well. They've just got a ridiculous amount of riches. So I mean, you can say, right, we'll stop Jake, and then Ricky Modeste will come off the bench and score. So I don't think you can always make your team aware of the other players, but I don't think you can man mark or set any specifics like that against Billericay. You've just got to go there, like Richard said, hope to start well, don't let them get an early goal, and defend resolutely, and try and play from there, and and try and build in confidence, and like Wilk said, because they're getting bigger crowds now, try and get the crowd against them a little bit. But I mean, if you stop their forwards, they've got Rob Swain, 6'5", come up for set pieces and probably score from that, or Joe Alul. So they've got threats all over the pitch. So I don't think it's as simple as stopping Jake.
It's just getting yourself as organised as you can, and before the game and during the game, and as I say, hoping that your players play to their levels, and keep them quiet. But easily said than done.
In Bostik North, Bowers and Pitsea take on Potters Bar Town. It's bound to be close, this one. It's 4th versus 5th. Two potential Bostik Premier League clubs perhaps taking on each other. Both sides level on points, accumulating 13 so far. However, Potters Bar have one game in hand, so it's a crucial game for Bowers and Pitsea to collect all 3 points this afternoon. Potters Bar have a dangerous goal scorer in Eon Casey. A centre forward has scored an impressive 6 goals in 7 appearances. Likewise, Bowers and Pitsea have Lewis Manor, who we saw when we were there, a striker who's netted 4 goals in 6 appearances. Going to be a tight game, this one, Mick?
Yeah, I don't know, other than my adopted club now, Bowers and Pitsea. We enjoyed our time down there a few weeks ago, so obviously I'll be rooting for them today. But obviously Potters Bar took Southampton and Richmond to a close game only last Saturday, so they're obviously a half-tidy side. Let's just go. I fancy a draw likely to happen here.
You guys know anything about these two teams?
Yeah, Bowers came up from the Senior League, so I watched them a few times last year. We were looking at one of their players, funnily enough. I watched about 3 of their games. They're a good side. Rob Small, the manager's done well. They're similar to my old club, Brighton. They've gone up a few steps and adapted well when they've gone up the level. So I think Bowers will win that, even though Potters Bar have started well. I think Bowers will win that at home, 2-1 maybe.
Moving on to Bostik South, we picked a game from each here, and Cray Wanderers against Herne Bay. Herne Bay with full of confidence, so they visit Cray Wanderers this afternoon, scoring 9 goals in their last 2 games. And of course, last week we saw them in the FA Cup third round qualifying as they defeated Horsham 5-2. followed by that 4-2 win at Hastings United in the league. Herne Bay in 8th, Cray Wanderers not far behind in 12th. Only 2 points separate the clubs, and Herne Bay winning 2 extra games and no draws for them this season. We were very impressed with Herne Bay, albeit a young team that perhaps game management, they might come unstuck against a better side.
Possibly. I mean, Craig sort of like all intents and purposes have obviously recruited well this season and fancy themselves to be in that playoff. And as we said, it really hasn't juggled the positions properly yet to know who really will be in that top 5. But Herne Bay, again, fantastic team, all played together for quite a bit. A lot of them average age. I was speaking to Dwayne Darlington last week and he said the average age was, I think, something like 19 or 20, which is fantastic. And our man in the match was outstanding that day. What was his name? Can you remember his name?
Ducali, was that?
Ducali, that's it, Ducali. Good lad who we interviewed afterwards. So, maybe a draw would probably be a good result, but the way that Herne Bay are playing, they're playing with sort of freedom, and that no one's expecting them to be doing anything this year. So perhaps there's no pressure on the management or players, and perhaps that's why they can express themselves really well. Whereas at Cray, I would have thought expecting themselves to be up there. So, if they can express themselves as well as what they have been lately, Herne Bay, I fancy they will get a result or at least something out of that game.
And I think it might be an exclusive to reveal right now that next week for the FA Cup third round qualifying, we are down in Margate. We're Margate against Herne Bay next week, so we'll see Herne Bay in action again in the FA Cup, and that's a mouth-watering local derby for the third round qualifying of the Cup. So that's kind of the warm-up, those 3 fixtures, and now Remy's going to give us 4 fixtures, which you're actually going to predict the scores off and go into the league table. There's an official league table online and everything. Mick's doing all right, is he, at the moment?
Mick is second from bottom.
Thank you.
So Remy, what games have you got for us today?
You ain't got nothing to beat then, Richard, have you?
You get worse every week. I think this week might be the week that Frank Wilson lifts off the bottom.
No, stay at the bottom, Frankie.
Okay, so our first game is Thurrock versus Merstham. So league newcomers Thurrock have not won in their last 4 games, losing twice and drawing twice. Mark Stimpson's men are currently 21st after only picking up 7 points in 7 games. Merstham sit 13th in the Premier Division after picking up 2 wins and 3 draws from their first 7 games. They won their last game on penalties, which was in the Velocity Trophy against Tooting and Mitcham, which was 4-3, and will be looking to gain some form momentum following match postponements and their FA Cup exit. Thurrock are the home side in this game.
1-1, Ryan Hall, another penalty.
You've gone for it as well, yeah, 1-1. Is that what you guys are going for?
No, I'll go for, controversially, I'm going to go for Merstham. Thurrock, they'll hold their own this season, I think, Thurrock personally, because they'll try and play football, but I think Ryan Hall will be the difference. I'll go 2-1.
Well, you guys have to agree, actually, because we're only allowed 1 entry from your club into the league table, because we're only given that so far to the other clubs.
Wilkes is going to give me grief then if it ends up 1-1.
We'll go completely different and go 2-1.
2-1.
Okay.
If Mick's that bad, then we'll change this.
And just going on to that game, Mick, obviously it's a fascinating one, as we said, like Thurrock coming up and Merstham been a bit hit and miss.
Yeah, I would have thought that Hayden would want to be going there and earmarking there's 3 points definitely on the board here. But we all know football, and I would have thought Thurrock, I think you're right, Tom, of quite a resolute sort of solid side, and they might just grind themselves out a result here. So as much as obviously I'd like Merstham to go there and win, but I fancy the draw. But if it's a draw, I think Hayden would rather have 3 points on the board now.
Okay, so game 2, Kingstonian and Harlow Town. Kingstonian have lost their last 3 games in league and cup competitions and will be hoping for a confidence-boosting win today against Harlow Town. Craig Edwards' men have suffered a poor run of form, not winning a game since the 9th of September and consequently sit 12th in the table. Harlow sit 19th but can go level on points with Kingstonian if they win today. Harlow will be keen to get back to winning ways after losing in the Velocity Cup match against Bury Town in midweek on penalties. However, this defeat shouldn't affect Danny Chapman's men too much because they haven't lost a game in the league since the 2nd of September.
Sorry, who's at home? Kingstonian?
Kingstonian at home. Well, home.
Yeah, I appreciate that, yeah. 2-1 Kingstonian.
Okay.
Doesn't take long for Mick to get the predictions out. He knows what he's doing. Yeah. There you go. Are you guys going to agree on this one?
Yeah, Wilkes is sitting on the fence for this one.
I'll go 1-1.
And we've got them Tuesday, so it might be a sensible.
1-1 for you guys.
1-1. Okay, so our next game is in the North Division, Mildenhall Town versus Tilbury. Mildenhall Town are on a decent run of form after winning their last 2 games, putting them 9th in the division. Tilbury, like Harrow and Tooting and Mitcham, were knocked out of the Velocity Trophy on penalties during the week and will be looking to put that defeat behind them. They currently sit 10th in the division and can move as high up to 7th today if they win and other results go their way.
Mildenhall Town 3-1.
I thought you were going to do the actual, like when it comes on at the end of the results, when it's...
Well, I have to build it up a little bit, don't we?
3-1, yeah?
Yeah, 3-1.
Okay.
I know Dean Greygoose, the Mildenhall manager, really well, who was at Bury with me as a goalkeeper. But again, I'm going to sort of sit on the fence, go 2-2.
I know Tilbury quite well because we played against them when I was at Brighton, and they're a good side. They're a very physical side. They're well organised, so that'll be a tough game for Mildenhall, I think.
It's a difficult place to play, Mildenhall, because it's quite a slope on the pitch. So it's I'm going to go for, as I say, 2-2.
I'm on a sticky wicket here. Every time we come this neck of the woods, like all the Essex sides and all that, these boys up this neck of the woods will know these teams better than me. So I'm just getting my excuses in.
Tilbury's
early.
nearer you,
is
Mick,
it?
isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
I think North Suffolk as well.
I think the expression is "suck it up," isn't it?
I think this is fair. I think, because we've got a southern.
Oh,
southern
right, okay. Give me a
division
southern
next.
then.
So
Okay.
we've had 2 Premier, 1
Right,
North, 1
okay.
Southern. Okay, so then our last game is Walton Casuals and Lewis. So Walton Casuals won midweek in the Velocity Trophy against Kingstonian and are in great form. Their last defeat came on the 5th September when they lost 3-2 to VCD Athletic. They're 4th in the league at the moment. Lewis are currently 2nd in the table after winning 5 of their first 7 games, and provided they win today, will go top of the league.
Big game this as well. This is a big game at the top of the table.
Yeah, it is for Lewis's perspective as well.
We've had a tweet in predicting that it will be 8-0 to Walton Casuals.
Is that
Who's that? Anthony Gell, I think. Is that Anthony Gell doing that? Is it?
It's
Right,
the photographer
okay.
from Walton Casuals.
Oh, yeah. Our friend, didn't he? Coming
He's our
out just out a
friend,
few
yeah.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I saw the second half of Walton Casuals on Tuesday night against Kingstonian in the Cup, and they were very impressive. Got a lot of quality players down there. Anthony's brought to that club. And it's on their 3 or 4G, whatever you call it, surface, which I think will be an added bonus to Walton Casuals, which I think they will just nick it, Walton Casuals, by a goal. And so they've got people who can score in there. They've got a couple of people on loan from Maidenhead, so they've got good connections. That's not knocking Lewis, because obviously Ross and they've got a good side down at Lewis. But I fancy 3-1, no, 2-1, because they're both good sides. 2-1 to Walton Casuals.
Okay.
2 really good teams, so I'm going to go 2-2.
Wilkes has changed his mind 3 times, by the way.
I can see from all
you mentioned the 4G, I didn't know, so yeah.
Scribbling out on the paper there. Okay, so we've got all our predictions in, and don't forget, as always, you can play along with this. Official BOTN, let us know your predictions, and we'll put you into the league table. Right, we're going to talk a little bit about things going across non-league in a moment, but first of all, I spoke to Steve McKim, the Tunbridge Angels manager, yesterday, and here's what he had to say. Steve, you finished 1 point behind Wingate and Finchley last season, narrowly missing out on the playoffs. You'd want to be doing a lot better than you are this season.
Yeah. The last 2 seasons, to be fair, we've started really well in the first 10 games, and this year it's gone the other way. We haven't started so well, but we'll keep plugging away to try and get the results we need.
Is there anything in particular that you put that down to?
You could say lack of luck, poor finishing, bad defending. We just haven't gelled correctly in the right areas in the most important times in games. You know, we're conceding from set pieces, we're creating loads of chances and we're not converting them. So that will change, that will turn around, and when it does, it should all click into place.
Having done so well last season and narrowly missed out on the playoffs, is that expectation there as far as the club and the supporters, or is it an expectation that you put on yourselves?
I think every club, every supporter and every manager wants to achieve promotion and playoffs, or playoffs, should I say. If you don't, it's not worth being in it. Just to be in the round or to be in survival for the Ryman Premier, you might as well not be involved. Everyone wants promotion. And that comes from the board to the supporters, to the players, to the staff. And like I say, after 46 games, you end up where you deserve to end up.
We mentioned the league form, but in the Cup against Herne Bay, 10-1 is not a bad scoreline, plenty of goals, and if you can transfer that into your league form, then I'm sure you'll be a very happy man.
Yeah, definitely. So last game we played Thurrock, we've done very well for 45 minutes. Again, conceded a couple of silly goals and then fought back to earn a good point at the end of it. So that's what we're looking at. We've got to just try and accumulate as many points as we can up until Christmas and then take stock of where you are, because it's a long old season. 2
new deals this week for Jack Parter and Callum Adonis-Taylor. It's nice to see players getting rewarded for their form.
Yeah, Jack Parter's come back from Welling. He wasn't really given a chance there, so he basically was told he was not needed anymore. And I jumped at the chance to bring him back, so I know what he can do. And Callum Taylor, he's one of our young lads that's come through and has done very well and deserved his contract, you know. We don't give him out willy-nilly. It's got to be earned. And the lad's earned it through his hard work and his ability.
And you Burgess Hill tomorrow, similar position to you in 14th, but every game in this division's tough and you've got to be on your game.
Yeah, you have to. No games are given, whether it's a team down the bottom or a team at the top playing team at the bottom. It's not a given. It's 11 against 11. I know Ian has his team playing very well. They're very good at home. I think they've won 2 and drawn 2 this season at home. And we've got to go there, but we've got to go there with confidence. No point in going to a game without confidence, because you start a man light anyway.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
So welcome back to the show today. We're in Bloomfield for Needham Market against Enfield Town. If you're listening to us, thank you ever so much. You can watch us on YouTube if you want to switch to YouTube and have a watch. We're here till 1 o'clock. We're going to talk about non-league stories now. Mick, we're going to come to you first. You're always good for a non-league story. What's been happening for you across the week?
Are we not going to talk about Stephen Tonbridge at all?
We can do, yeah.
I just feel they need a mention like the others. We've always given them a little mention. Basically, they're not where they want to be at the minute. I'm just quite interested to see that you said that they've just had their left back come back from Welling.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah.
So hopefully that will help them a little bit. But Stephen Barry, good lads, and I'm sure they're going to motor up that league. Good. I just felt they needed a bit more of a mention there, Ben. Sorry about
Absolutely.
that.
Anybody that's listening as a Tunbridge fan will very much appreciate that. So, brilliant. Thank you ever so much, Mick.
No problem. Well, we go on to non-league news.
Non-league news. So, Mick, you're always good for a story, as we mentioned. What have you come up with for us this week?
I hope they don't mirror yours, but basically, Alfie May's quite an interesting one. I watched him play quite a bit last year for Hive Town, and it's fantastic. It must give motivation to other players at this level of football that they can make it into the league. And, you know, I think he started against Arsenal in the League Cup on Tuesday night or Wednesday, whenever it was. So that's the heights that players at this level can get to. So any players listening to the show, it's there. Hopefully that they can raise to the heights of Alfie May.
Also, Nick Pope, also as well, was at Bury Town with me.
Right.
And obviously with Heaton getting injured, he's had 2 starts now, or 1.5
Wow.
starts. So and Nick's a smashing lad. So as you say, it does give, dreams do come true.
Totally. Another little bit of news is Sammy Moore's been given a 2-year contract, which is good to hear. That's quite progressive for a club to sort of look forward ahead like that. So obviously the finances are in good shape under Richard Brady there. So well done, Sammy, for getting a 2-year contract. And the other bit of news, this is really interesting, is Gary Elphick joining Chappers at Burgess Hill as a player. So brave decision by Chappers, but look, knowing a little bit of Gary and how he come across, he don't look like the type of guy that's going to go in there and try and nick the manager's job. But I think Chappers needed someone that's got the experience, and Gary's got that. And hopefully that partnership there will work fine, and Chappers will start rising up the table as well. So that's a good signing.
Luke, anything that's caught your attention across non-league this week?
Yeah, well, firstly, sticking to Bostic, interesting that Billy Medlock has left Hastings and signed for rivals Lewis following a 7-day approach they've announced on their Twitter. So I remember when we went to see them a few weeks ago that he was he was our man of the match that game as well. So really, really interesting decision.
Wish you'd told me that before. give the nomination. Is he playing today for Lewis?
I don't know. They haven't gone that far, but he might do. Then sort of moving on to National League, Barrow have appointed Mickey Moore as their permanent boss, so he was in charge over their last 6 games, and they decided to make him the permanent manager. So I've got a quote here from them saying that the club revealed that he was asked to make several changes to the style of play to produce more exciting football for supporters and give players a chance to flourish. They say he's done very well at implementing those changes, and we see that in the attitude and commitment of the players. So congratulations to him for making that a permanent appointment.
Remy, anything that's caught your attention across non-league this week?
Well, we all saw the FA Cup third round draw, and I think the one that got everyone a little bit excited was Eastbourne Borough drawing Bognor Regis Town. Jamie Howe hosting his old club. He has actually come out and said that he's wound up by the tie, but it's one that we'll all keep our eye on, I'm sure.
And lastly, just worth a mention that Ernie Backland Leal, a 12-year-old Guernsey superfan, has sadly passed away after a brave battle with leukemia. A passionate Guernsey fan, was a matchday mascot several times, and our thoughts are, of course, with the family. OK, we're going to hear next from Gavin Rose, the Dulwich manager. It's going to be an interesting interview. Not started as well as they possibly wanted. And I think that's what I opened with when I spoke to Gavin Rose yesterday, and he was very honest in his approach. Gavin, 7 games in, 10th in the table. Because you're Dulwich Hamlet, do you expect to be higher up at this stage of the season?
No, I don't really expect anything, to be honest with you. I think the important thing with our job is to just take each game as they come and look at it on the merits of what happened on the day, because I just don't think you can go through a season expecting to be somewhere or not. So for me, it's a little bit more disappointment in the way some of the games have materialised, because we've made lead slip and basically given away points. So that in that respect, when you look at the games, then there's disappointment, but I wouldn't have been expectancy at this stage to be anywhere in the league, really.
I guess there's no easy games in any division in football anymore, and tough games against the likes of Hendon, and you've got Leatherhead tomorrow, which again, Leatherhead have done really well this season, playing some good football, so the games just come thick and fast.
Yes, they do. I thought Hendon at home was our best performance of the season, and we came away with no points. Lost Crawley in the last minute, probably the last kick of the game, and probably could have been 2-3 goals to the good by the time that goal had been scored. So there were signs actually on that day that we'd started to click into gear, and then we go away to Slough in the FA Cup and have a man sent off, and it just basically disrupts the momentum or the pattern of what we're trying to achieve. But we're fully aware that even though the games come thick and fast, if your form's good, then it will take care of in the long run, it will take care of itself.
Everybody that you speak to around the division says Dulwich Hamlet will be up there at the end of the season. They've obviously been in the playoffs for the last 3 years. They'll be up there. They'll be contending for automatic promotion. I guess for you, it's just a case of perhaps not listening to that and making sure you do the job on the pitch, because it is a tough division, and if you take your eye off the ball, then you'll find it difficult.
A lot of hard work needs to go into achieving promotion or getting close to promotion, and if it was just a given, I'd be happy, because we wouldn't have to do any work, and there'd be no frustrations along the way. But it obviously isn't that easy. So no, we've got a lot of graft ahead of us. Like you say, we're 10th in the league, 7 games gone. There's an awful lot of points left to play for, as we all know. So obviously experience tells us not to panic at this stage, but also to be very aware that we don't want to fall too far behind the pack. Obviously,
you mentioned the FA Cup defeat against Slough. You beat Staines on penalties in the Velocity Trophy, and you've still got the FA Trophy to come. Is it an unfair comment for me to say that for Dulwich Hamlet, the league is so much the focus, because you really are a club in waiting for the National South, as some clubs in this division may see an FA Cup or an FA Trophy run as almost being better than perhaps worrying too much about the league? Is that an unfair comment?
It's tough, because obviously you got to weigh up everything in this. I mean, FA Cup still means a lot to some supporters. It means a lot to players, because it gives them an opportunity, if they do progress, to play against big clubs. And it also financially means a lot to the custodians of the club. So it's a tough one, because you wouldn't prepare for the game thinking this is a second rate sort of competition in our minds to the league because there's so many different things, as I mentioned. But for me as a manager, whether we was in, I don't know, if we was like in the first round of the FA Cup, which would have been a great achievement, it still would rank outside trying to get the club promoted. I think the progress for any football club is the division they're playing in. If they're continually, going up a league, then you know where you are. You know there's progress. So the FA Cup can happen. You can have a great run. Everyone can have a great run. We had a good run in the FA Trophy last year, but we're still in the same division, and that's the reality. So I think you're right in saying that. The club as itself wants to get promoted. It's probably the number one priority.
Lots of managers talking already 7-8 games in saying we need a striker, need a defender, need this person. For Dulwich Hamlet, have you got the squad that you want, or are you still looking to add some players across the season?
We've been unfortunate. We've got some key injuries to key players. Guys who sort of been a focal point of our team are out injured probably for the majority of the season, to be quite honest with you. And that just means that, you could look at it and I could look at it and think, well, we're short of this and short of that, but we still got those players to come back. So at the moment, you can't really give a fair view. I think once everyone comes back, we probably might be still needing maybe one or two, but you don't want to get anyone in straight away until the injured players come back and you see where you are.
For the best highlights from across the Bostik Leagues, visit youtube.com/Back of the Net.
Yeah, that was a really interesting interview because Dulwich, they're going to be up there at the end of the season, and I put that to him and he said it would have been nice if that was just the case, but there's a lot of hard work for them to do. The last 3 years they've lost in the playoffs, and at the moment, I put it to him at the beginning, fair to say underachieving probably what he would expect.
Yeah, definitely. I feel so sorry for Gavin and Junior. They put so much time and effort in, particularly bringing some of these academy boys through to the first team. So they do blood these youngsters, and they've got a great network of finding talent and actually selling talent. But they're the nearly men in so many things, and they ain't quite sort of made this next jump, which they really do need to make up to conference for the size of the club they are. And I would have said, I would have thought Gavin and Junior feel the pressure this year. I think they know they've had a fair few chances at doing it and just missed it at the last hurdle. But Gavin's quite a laid-back, cool guy, and he's probably deflecting a lot of that pressure. But I'd say he's definitely under pressure to actually be in that playoff this year and actually go up in the playoffs or even win it. But maybe their chairman will let them off the hook a little bit with Billericay being up there. But great, good management team, Junior and Gavin. But they're getting a bit of a tag of the nearly men, and they need to up the game this year and do the business.
And interestingly, we saw DeCali last week for Herne Bay, and afterwards he mentioned that he'd come through the Dulwich Academy and had an injury last season. They let him go, and what a hell of a player to let go. Well, yeah, that we can't foresee these things, and I was going to actually sort of let Junior know about that. What a player! I was just going to have a little bit of a laugh with him, but no, Herne Bay's management ain't going to thank us for actually letting that know him. But good player, and I suspect now people will be watching him. And Richard, when Dulwich is fair to say is one of those clubs that you look at, similar mould to Billericay, I guess, where you look and think they're going to be right up there. They'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Gavin always plays good football from the back, always plays through the thirds. It's a great place to go and play as well for the away team because their support is fantastic. But not only is it the volume of support, it's the actual supporters themselves. They're very knowledgeable about their football. When they've come to clubs that I've been at, they come in numbers. They're very hospitable, and they're just really nice, a really nice club. And you want clubs like that with that sort of tradition and history to kick on. And I'm sure that it's only a matter of time before they go on a run. And as we know in this league, if you win 3 or 4 games, you can be right up in the mix again. So I wouldn't count them out of any sort of potential playoff spots. And you mentioned the pressure, Mick, for them this season. There is that they are a national South side in waiting. Really, they've been there every single year. Everybody expected them to beat Bognor. We mentioned your friend Charman, who possibly played a big part in Bognor winning for that game. It was almost a shock on the day, the way Dulwich had been playing, and so that pressure, even at this level, is going to be there.
I've seen Dulwich so many times playing these playoff finals. Obviously, they played against myself in Leatherhead a few years ago, and we beat them in sort of like injury time. No, I can only say they should be up there. They're a club made for conference football, and basically Gavin and Junior know they need to do the business this year.
And are there any other sides in particular that you look at along the lines of, we've mentioned Billericay, we've mentioned Dulwich, but is there anybody else that you look at and think, I'd expect them to be right up there? I'll put that out to all three of you, actually.
Yeah, Margate, I think good signings, a lot of ex-Maidstone players there, and I think that they'll do well. I would imagine they'll be right up there.
Leatherhead definitely for me. From what I've seen of them so far, they'll be there or thereabouts.
I think I've got to agree with Tom. Obviously, I'm a supporter of Leverett anyway, but they're playing some quality football. Time will tell, like I think we said off air, whether these muddy pitches that used to hinder Hayden and myself at Merstham might come back to haunt that style of play. But I'd like to think that Sammy will have a B plan, or if he hasn't, Richard Brady will remind him of a B plan when it needs to be said. And hopefully they can get the ball forward a bit quicker maybe and combat these sort of sticky pitches that you might get in the January and February months.
Yeah, it's definitely the league changes around about sort of December, January times, and I think teams have to be a little bit more adaptable. Probably have to go a little bit more direct into the opposition's half first, and then play in their half. I think that otherwise you can make mistakes which aren't necessarily going against the way that you want to play. It's just that the pitches sometimes dictate that their mistakes are going to happen. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit more adaptation from teams when the weather changes.
And Leiston as well, another one that we mentioned a bit earlier on. Remy, anyone you fancy this season? We've talked about the likes of Billericay and Leatherhead, and there's a few others I guess we haven't mentioned, like Staines.
I don't know too much about Staines. I haven't really watched them too much, but after seeing Leatherhead against Billericay, I just thought, that they deserve to win that game, and I think anyone that watched the highlights back would see that they were unlucky. Billericay, they brought a lot to the game and they killed it off. But Leatherhead were very strong. But a side that we have watched over the years and kind of gone along with their momentum is Dorking Wanderers. So I think that they will be a team that will, they'll settle and they'll keep going forward and There's some key players in that squad that a lot of teams are after and a lot of teams would want in there. So, I'd keep an eye on them. And I think that they could push for top half of table finish, if not, the playoff.
Remy, I would agree with that. They're missing a big player, aren't they? Like the Sammy Moore, Luke Moore, that was massive. But we watched Dorking early season, and he was orchestrating everything, pretty much what Sammy Moore does for Leatherhead. And Mark hasn't got him at the minute. I don't know if he's still injured, but he's got a fair few of those players back injured. I do agree. I do think Dorking will start to rise up that table.
Yeah, Matt Briggs, worth a mention, scored plenty of goals this season. One player that will know about Dorking Wanderers is Tooting and Mitcham United captain Sol Patterson-Bonner, who joins us on the phone now. Sol, thanks ever so much for joining us. I guess you're in the midst of a little bit of making your way to the ground and preparation for today's game.
Yeah, just thanks for having me on as well.
No problem. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to have come into the division, obviously winning the league last year, doing so well, and then facing the challenges of the Bostik Premier Division.
To be honest with you, it's been tough. Obviously, the players are playing against players of better quality. They're much fitter as well. A lot of teams are more organised. But it's been tough, to be honest with you. It's just getting to know the league, really, getting used to the league, getting used to the players. But to be honest with you, I think we'll get there. We started off slow, but we're going to get there.
All right, Sol, it's Mick here.
Yeah, mate.
Good to speak to you, mate. How do you think your style of captaincy is rubbing off on the team this year? Do you think it's improved it? And what do you think Frank saw in you in making you captain?
I don't know, to be honest with you. That's something you got to ask Frank. But to be honest with you, the togetherness in the change room, it's not just me. There's a lot of players in the change room. I can name 5 that are just natural leaders anyway. So to be honest with you, I lead the players, I get the players together, but it's more of a team captaincy than anything. But to be honest with you, the togetherness, and I've just got everyone together, to be honest. Everyone's good lads. Everyone's good friends.
Frank said that you organise a good night out. That's why he made you captain.
Yeah, no, to be honest with you, my night outs are decent. You should come on one.
That'll be good. We'll send Mick with a camera. Difficult game for you guys today. How do you approach a game at Billericay Town? Obviously they're doing so well at the moment. How do you go into that one?
I don't know, to be honest. Like any other game, you just gotta stay focused on the day. A lot of the goals that we concede is where we're switching off or just silly scenarios like that. So I just think personally, if we stay focused and we're on our game, we defend right, and we take our chances, there's nothing else I can really say, to be honest with you. I can't. Going into a game against Billericay, it's just like, I don't know, it's a tough game. They got a lot of good players. Obviously, they're good, big crowd. Just got to stay focused. Don't let the hype distract you from the actual point of why we're there.
Yeah, to be fair, Sol, we were going to do a quiz today, but I said, I don't know whether Sol will be able to answer some of these questions. Sorry. So we made it a little bit easier in a pre-match, but we are going to think about doing something so we can get you players from each club to actually compete against each other, because I know that all you sort of players from different clubs have a bit of banter. So I'm putting it out there, and I'm hoping you, Sol, will put it out there, that on a weekly basis that we're going to invite a player for each club to take in a competitive quiz of some sort.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We'll move on to that and doing a competitive quiz.
No way.
Week.
What's the prize money?
We'll think of it and get back to you. What we've been saying for most of the things that we're doing on the show is that Mick Sullivan will buy the drinks. Maybe he can come on your night out and buy all the drinks. Listen, Sol, thank you ever so much for speaking to us. Good luck with the game today, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon. That's Sol. Thanks very much.
So, just a quick one. Remind Frank he is still bottom of the table of our managers thing. Just remind him of that when you see him.
All right, he's probably listening, to be fair. If he's listening, he probably heard it himself.
Yeah.
Cheers,
Remind
Sol.
him.
Thanks ever so much. Sol Patterson-Bonner, the Tooting and Mitcham United captain. We didn't ask him your question actually about which position he's going to play, but he probably wouldn't have wanted to reveal that.
Exactly. That's why I kept that quiet. He's probably listening now, isn't he?
We're also going to be speaking to a couple of supporters from both Needham Market and Enfield Town. As we start that as well this week, we're going to speak to a supporter of each of the teams that we cover on the show. That's coming up in the next half an hour. Next up, you guys are welcome to play along with this. This is a little bit competitive between both of our producers. It's called Kit's Really Easy, and it's where these guys need to guess the colour of some of the shirts in the division. As always, you can play along, official BOTN. We'll send Luke out of the room and Remy can go first. Remy, at the moment, the score's, was it 6-0?
Yeah, I think I just need to be on mute and just let Luke get back in it, because we've lost the competition. And last week when I was up against Mick, because Luke wasn't here, I thought, oh God, yeah, this is going to be a tough one. And Mick, you just didn't show up, so I haven't really had anyone to play.
I don't see much teamwork happening. Whenever I'm with you two, I'll get no teamwork.
You got me some points, but I think Luke couldn't even beat himself in this game.
Well, we're fortunate enough here, Richard, to have the answers, but I don't know if you want to have a go anyway. But this is Kit's Really Easy. You can play along wherever you are. Official BOTN. I almost forgot to set the stopwatch. So you've got 30 seconds to name as many Kit's colours as you can in your time. Remy, you're pretty good at this, so we're going to get on with it. Darragh, you're keeping the scores. Right, 30 seconds on the clock. Let's go.
Dulwich Hamlet.
Oh God, black and no, pink and blue. Pink and
Metropolitan Police.
blue. No idea. Black.
Needham Market.
Red and a bit of yellow.
Whittam Town.
Black and white.
Can we just have the team names a bit louder, Darragh, please?
Hertford Town.
Blue.
Brentwood Town.
Blue.
Canvey Island.
Yellow.
VCD Athletic.
Oh gosh. Green.
Cray Wanderers.
Yellow.
South Park.
Red.
Okay, we'll let you know how you did. Yeah, Darragh, we just need the team names a little with the just a little bit louder on the playout system. Luke's going to come in now, and Luke is going to have a go and see if he can beat Remy. I did let your time go on because we were trying to give Darragh a pen, as she didn't have one over there. But Luke's going to sit in the hot seat now and see how many he can answer.
We will allow Luke a little bit extra time and all.
We need to allow Luke a lot of extra time. official BOTN on social media. Let us know. Luke, no looking at the answers that are over here. We don't need them, actually.
Having a quick look at the kits on the table.
Okay, right, 30 seconds. I'll give you 30 seconds, but we'll let you play on. Off you go.
Dulwich Hamlet.
Oh, they're definitely sort of a purpley colour with a bit of blue.
Metropolitan Police.
Blue.
Needham Market.
Red.
Witham Town.
Red.
Hertford Town.
I'm going to go for blue and white.
Brentwood Town.
Blue.
Canvey Island.
Yellow.
VCD Athletic.
There was something like a greeny kind of colour.
Cray Wanderers.
Red.
South Park.
Red.
I like that one of them you just asked. It's almost if you were asking us. They're green colour. Okay, Darryl, what have we got for the scores? If you want to make your way over and maybe steal Mick's microphone for a second, you don't have to get out of the way, Mick. It's fine. Darryl can just come in and let us know who won. I think we know who's won, but we'll have a go anyway.
I don't know. It was actually quite close.
Yeah,
Closer
thank
than
you.
what it
But Luke didn't
normally
win,
is.
did he?
I'm afraid to say, Luke, no.
No?
But it was very close. So, Luke, you got 7.
Yeah, wow, that's really good, actually.
And Remy got 9.
9?
So a lot better than previous weeks.
Very close. Okay,
I
brilliant.
stumbled on the first hurdle, though. I was trying to say that Dulwich played in black, and then I was like, no, they're playing pink and blue.
Kit's really
when
easy.
I said purpley, I sort of meant a pinky purple. Did I get the point?
We'll do it again next week. Still to come on the show, we're going to speak to our guests, Richard Wilkins and Tom Rothery. Some more looking ahead to the game this afternoon between Needham Market and Enfield. And we also speak to 2 fans, 2 supporters of the clubs, Harry, an Enfield fan, and Mark, the Needham Market fan, will be on the phone a little bit later. And we hear from Adi Gallagher, the Lowestoft town manager. That's all to come in the next 25 minutes.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page 1 journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Are you looking for a little bit more than a good meal at a pub? The Half Moon is a hidden gem located in the picturesque village of Charlwood on the Surrey-Sussex borders. Proud of old traditions, this Old English pub offers tasty fresh food with locally sourced ingredients, comfortable dining and traditional bar area, as well as a lovely garden for your enjoyment. Evening with friends or lunch with family, whatever the occasion, you can expect our friendly and welcoming staff to help. Half Moon Charlwood. Check out our Facebook page for upcoming events and live music.
Need to refuel? Whether you're heading home or away, get ahead of the game and refuel at Dorking's Service Centre. Dorking's local retailer of quality BP fuel, Costa coffee and food to go. Find us at the traffic lights close to Dorking Halls or at dorkingservicecentre.com.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Head Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
Welcome back to the final part of the show. Before we do anything else, I've just got to reveal the kit colours because I missed it out, Mick. Mick pointed out, you're on the ball today, Mick.
I am on the ball.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we've missed out. So if you were playing along, the kits that we did with Dulwich Hamlet, they play in navy and pink. Metropolitan Police, they play in blue. Needham Market, of course, is red, is centrepiece of our display if you're watching live on YouTube. Whittam Town playing white. And then I've got in brackets here, blue and navy shorts. And then Hertford Town playing blue, Brentwood Town playing blue, Canvey Island yellow, VCD Athletic green, Cray Wanderers mustard yellow, and South Park play in red.
I'd have gone gold, but never mind.
So that Dara writes these. See, Mix, he's a bit of banter today. He's on form, isn't he? He's giving it all out. See there, Dara. It's not mustard, it's gold. Maybe that's just maybe do you think it's his age? Just that's.
Thank you.
Anyway, we've had a tweet in from Frank Wilson, Tooting and Mitcham United manager, haven't we, Rem?
Yeah, just about his skipper's answers. He said next time that we get someone on the show, we'll have to get someone that doesn't say, I don't know, to be fair, for every question we ask.
Well, Frank, we'd love to speak to you before 1 o'clock if you want to come on and let us know how you're going to line up against Billericay Town. Do give us a shout and we'll get you on the phone in the next 20 minutes. We've got somebody on the phone right now, and it's Harry, who's an Enfield fan. Harry, very good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, guys.
How are you with this season so far? How's it all going?
I think after the upheaval during the summer with 15 odd players moving out and a new management team coming in, I think it's been a steady start. Obviously, probably our best start for the past 3 years, but what Andy and Darren Purse have done has really galvanised the team together, and it's started off quite well.
And I asked the manager a question yesterday when I interviewed him. I don't know if you heard it earlier. Where I did say that there may be expectations from the fans that you do exactly what you did last year, because supporters sometimes have those expectations, and it's a big club, well supported at Enfield. Are they coming into this season? Did you know it might take a little bit more time?
Yeah, I think any fan of any club knows that when you lose management and then a load of players move on in the summer, it's of course going to take time to get everyone settled and gelled in and start getting the results that you want to see from previous seasons. But I think expectations this season are of what we've always looked at. It's always going for a playoff place, but around the playoff places is where we always end up. Like the past 3 seasons, obviously we were like, I think it was 5th, 6th and 7th or 8th. So a lot of the Enfield fans know what the expectations are set by the chairman. So it's an interesting time.
What would you think, having seen the players for, 8 games so far this season, what would your expectations be now?
I think my expectations would be to be challenging for promotion. Obviously, speaking with Andy and chairman on a Mid-Kent Metal show, expectations are quite high, and I think Andy wants us to push as hard as we can with the new squad. But obviously this year it's going to take time, so promotion would be great, but I think a top half finish would go perfectly with the upheaval in the summer.
Hello, Harry, it's Mick here. Just a quick question, mate. Has Andy changed the style of play from your previous manager last year, or has he kept it similar? Obviously, new players, I would have thought he would have his own style. It'd be good to hear your take on it.
Yeah, obviously, the past 3 seasons under Brad Quinton, Brad played very good football with your classic 4 at the back. Andy goes with a sort of 3 at the back, 5 at the back with wing back. So obviously trying to emphasise wing play, and then with the 3 midfielders and 2 up front, it's a good combination. I think it's taken a bit of time to settle in with the players. I think a few are being played out of position, but are settling in well and giving good performances. So there is a definite change in play between Andy and Brad. But yeah, it's very exciting to see. Obviously, not every manager these days uses a 5 at the back with wing backs and a very narrow midfield. So I think most teams we come up against struggle to adapt to it at first, obviously not expecting a typical Enfield side to have 5 at the back.
Thanks very much for that, Harry. Richard's quite pleased listening to that. I would have thought that's given him a good indication of how you don't play. I think hopefully that's a good, clever question I've put for Richard's perspective. But thanks for being honest, Harry.
Yeah, I was going to say, Harry, actually, not to put you on the spot, but obviously we've got Richard Wilkins and Tom Rovery, the manager and assistant of Needham Market. If there's any questions that you've got for these guys, anything you perhaps like to know about the team that you're playing this afternoon, then feel free to ask the question now.
Fire away.
I don't know. I think I don't really have a question. I think Needham are a very good team. It's going to be a very good game. Obviously, both teams are on 8 points, so it's everything to fight for. I know Needham in previous times have given us a good game, so as long as they try and let us win, I'll be happy.
Harry, be brash. Go and say you're going to come here and stuff them. Come on, mate. Be brash. Andy would expect that from you, surely.
Yeah, obviously. We'd like to go out and win like 3-0, but it'll be a very tough.
I was going to ask you actually, Harry, at the end, just for your prediction. So is that going to be at 3-0, eh?
No, I'd say I reckon it'll be 2-1. I think 2-1 Enfield. I need them, very good team. So are we. Good start to the season for us, but this league's unpredictable, as you know. Obviously, 2-1 is probably my best bet to Enfield.
Brilliant. Well, listen, thanks ever so much for coming on and speaking to us. Enjoy the game, and
Thank you.
Best of luck for the rest of the season for Enfield.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
That was Harry, the Enfield fan, coming to join us. We're going to speak to Mark, who's a Needham Market fan, just to balance things out. Don't forget, you can get in touch on social media. It's official BOTN, and you can get yourself on our shows on a weekly basis, depending on whatever club you're at. We'll take you on. You can have a question for Mick or any of the managers that we've got. It'd be nice if a few people came on and gave you some tough questions.
No, I don't need to do that at all. I'm sure that don't give the invite out, please. Do not give the invite out for that.
Okay, we're just gonna get a Mark and Needham Market fan onto the show. Before we do that, we're going to speak to. I spoke yesterday to Adi Gallagher, the Lowestoft town manager. The theme of the show seems to be, and I hope you forgive me for saying this, and Lowestoft town fans, that underperforming at the moment. We went and watched them against Worthing earlier on in the season, and it's fair to say they had their sights set a little bit higher. Well, let's start by talking about the season so far. 7 games in. After we visited you early on in the season, I think it's fair to say that you'd have wanted to be higher up the table and had more points on the board.
Yes, of course. We look at our performances and we've been in every game that we've played, probably with maybe the exception of the Leiston game where I felt we didn't really play to a good level. I felt we were a bit tired that day after on the bank holiday after playing on Saturday. But we've been in every game that we've played. But we haven't got all the results that we probably our performances have warranted. But when it happens consistently, you have to look at yourself. And though we've been close in every game that we've played, little things haven't gone our way. And in all fairness, we haven't had the chances we've created. So results don't lie. At the end of the day, we've got to just keep working on what we're doing, try and improve in little areas, and get a bit more out of each other to see us over the line in some of the games.
When we came and saw you against Worthing, we did mention the amount of chances that you created in that game should have been dead and buried. Is that what you've identified as perhaps one of the problems?
Yeah, I think so. We haven't. Our conversion rate of chances created has not been anywhere near close enough, and unfortunately, all managers will say when you're not taking the chances that you are creating, it puts more pressure on the back line. They're in a position where they can't make mistakes, and you get punished for it. And that's happened too often, really, this season. We need to turn the corner as far as converting chances as concerned, and we need to take the pressure off our back line a little bit because it's natural that when you're not getting results and you're not taking your chances and conceding goals, that people start to get a little bit nervous on the pitch. And it's something that we've got to be brave enough to overcome. Over the next few weeks, it's still early season. As I said, we've been in every game that we've played, really, so we need to build on the positives that in the games that we've played and maybe try and find another 10% from somewhere just to take the pressure off the back line.
How hard is it as a manager to know that there are 39 games left, and actually that's a huge part of the season, to not get worried, not panic, and have that, I guess, rub off on the players as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at it as 39 games left, obviously, although it is. You're always just focused on your next game. You don't want to. I've been involved in the club for 18 years. So, we've seen seasons come and go. We've had all different scenarios during seasons, good starts, bad starts, good finishes, bad finishes, and everything in between. So, I know myself that it's about just trying to just taking each game as it comes and working really hard, respecting your opposition, and just to try not to get too down about some results, but obviously, again, don't get too high when you get great results either. You need to keep your feet on the ground and just keep working hard and trying to improve your game. And if you can get a string of results together, and sometimes they come off the back of the worst 0-0 draw you've ever seen in your life, or you get a couple of games like that together, and then they often turn into a 10-match unbeaten run. And that's exactly what we need to try and do. We did something similar in the second half of last season, and where I think we went 8 or 10 games unbeaten, and we started to really grow in confidence in that period. So we need to try and hit that type of form again.
For all the best coverage from across the Bostik leagues, visit backofthenetsouth.co.uk.
Yeah, Eddie Gallagher there, the Lowestoft town manager. Richard, I'm going to ask you first. Just quickly, we were talking to him about the expectations this season. We've mentioned it quite a lot on the show today, and definitely Lowestoft, they'd have been looking up towards those playoffs at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, potentially, but I think they've gone through a couple of tricky years. It's been difficult for Eddie. The first Lowestoft 3-4 seasons ago went into Conference North, which was never going to be particularly their choice, and I think they've sort of still paying the consequences for that. And I think they'll rebuild, and I think they'll become stronger. Playoffs might be a little bit out of their reach this season, but I think it's a big club with a lot of following, and they just have to rebuild again.
And Mick, when we went there against Worthing, he did mention on the radio show, AD, he said, their youth academy was important, bringing players in was important, and he'd been there a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but I would have thought the supporters' expectations is higher than what they're achieving at the minute. And likeable guys, really nice guys, in fact. But, they should be doing better. I appreciate they probably haven't got the finances. He hinted to that to us when we spoke to him, the finances that maybe they had in past. So, maybe the expectations of Lowestoft supporters should be where they are, maybe. Maybe it has to be announced that they haven't got that type of money now to develop and bring the big players in to rise them up the league. And they maybe have to nurture their squad and play a different tactic for this point onwards.
Let us know if you're a Lowestoft fan, official BOTN across social media. Speaking of fans, we've got Mark on the line, who's a Needham Market supporter, who was in Morrison's. You still in Morrison's, Mark?
Yes, I am, yeah.
Yeah, just getting your lunch before the game?
Yeah, something like that. A little bit of shopping.
A little bit of shopping at lunchtime. Mark, this afternoon, obviously taking on Enfield. We'll come to that game in a moment. First of all, for you, the season so far, how's it going?
It's not too bad, is it? We're doing all right. We're holding our own.
And you've obviously, Richard and Tom are here with us, so this is your chance to ask them any questions that you might like to put to them.
I don't need to, mate. If I need to ask them anything, I'll ask them when I see them.
Well, there we go. That's what it's like here. We got everybody. Fans can obviously. One of the things, Mick, we were saying about in the ad break about non-league football is that the closeness of supporters to the management team, and there's an example of it.
Well, I wish I had a supporter like him behind my dugout every week, and sitting sort of like where you are on the table at this minute. They're being so nice to you. You obviously know him quite well, Richard.
Yeah, I've known Mark for a long time, so I think sometimes the difference is that people, I think with a club like Needham, people know what's going on, they know the difficulties, and they know what we're trying to achieve. So I think sometimes in the bigger clubs that gets swallowed up a little bit, but in the little clubs or the smaller clubs, if you like, I'll always talk to anybody that talks to me at the bar. Tom's the same, and Mark knows the difficulties that we've had, although as much he probably feels exactly the same as me that we need to start churning out results and moving up the league.
Right, Mark, I want to make this not controversial, but I want you to get a point across here. Is there anything that you'd change about the way your team plays, perhaps? Is there anything that you think that you'd do slightly differently? Put yourself in the manager's position right now. We're going to give you that position for the next 60 seconds.
Well, no, because I've known Richard for coming up to 20 years, so I know what kind of a manager he is. I know what he can get for us, and I know what results he can get. So no, to me, the players are doing absolutely fine. The results will come.
Can I just ask, Richard? Did you arrange this call?
You do realise Richard and Mark are brothers.
Listen, we're just going to finish, Mark, by saying your predictions for this afternoon.
Prediction 2-1 Needham.
Okay, there we go. Nice and simple from Mark. Enjoy the rest of your shopping. I hope you get everything you need and get some good bargains in Morrison's, and enjoy the game, Mark.
Cheers, mate. It's in about an hour.
Yeah, thanks ever so much for coming on. Brilliant. Right, we've not got long left on the show, but we are going to get Frank Wilson on to the phone, the Tooting and Mitcham United manager, very shortly. Before we do that, let's just have one final look at the game this afternoon. We've talked about it a lot, but both teams similar positions in the table, similar starts, and both have expectations to perhaps get up the table. And this afternoon, being the home team, I guess slightly more pressure on yourselves to go and get the result.
Yeah, both teams would want 3 points. You always go into any match that you play to get the 3 points. As you said, the points in the table don't lie. We're both in the position that we are, and I'm pretty certain that it'll be an entertaining game. They often are when we play Enfield. There's often a lot of goals, and hopefully the fans are entertained today, and we can edge it.
And Mick, for you, as we mentioned at the beginning of the show, both teams close in the table, as we mentioned. Enfield, so many changes. It'll be interesting to see from their point of view how their players are bedding in.
Yeah, I would have thought Andy would just want to come here and not lose the game and just keep them ticking over until those players all bed in well together. I'm sure there's more to come from Enfield Town, as Andy has hinted. Just want to slightly change this question to Richard, because I was going to ask it to him. I noticed you signed a player from Bury this week, or transferred. Is that a particular position that you found was weak, or was it just sort of a player that you knew from your Bury times? I better say his name, James Bradford, is it?
Oh yeah, I mean he's a goalkeeper that's been at Needham. He went out on loan to Bury, and Danny Gay got injured in the Tooting game, so we brought him back. So it was purely just he went to Bury from Needham for sort of like a loan period, right. and now he's come back.
Okay, I just thought maybe your supporters might want to know that. They don't always get the bulletin. I just noticed that as a transfer across this week.
Yeah, that actually happened last week. But it's he's a good young goalkeeper who needed to play games, so we've sort of moved him out on loan, but he's come back.
Right, and one last thing before I let Ben sort of. What's the prediction today then from you? We need a defining scoreline, or what you expect today?
Well, I'm obviously hoping that we'd win, and I think we will. I thought we played very well against a very good Chesham team last Saturday. It's not going to be easy. I think it will be a close game, but I'm hoping that we can nick it 2-1.
We're going to wrap up the show right now by speaking to Frank Wilson, the Tooting and Mitcham United manager, who joins us on the line now. Thank you ever so much for coming on and speaking to us, Frank.
No, gentlemen, nice to come on right at the end. I've been listening to you boys for the last 2 hours on my way to Billericay, so it's been a good show.
Thank you ever so much. And we spoke to your captain, Sol Patterson-Bonner, earlier, and we thought it'd be nice to get you on just because you are going to Billericay, and we've spoken about them quite a bit on the show today. It's obviously a tough task. Have you got a plan to deal with the likes of Jake Robinson?
No, I think one of the boys that were on the show sort of said it quite rightly, that I think that you've got to admit, and you've got to be honest with yourselves when you're coming up against strong opposition, especially the strength of Billericay. And it's not so much a plan for individuals; it's more of a collective plan. It's what our overall team plan looks like today and our approach to the game. We've got to be honest about ourselves and appraise ourselves in where we are and what we're doing. But that doesn't mean that we're not capable of getting something from today's game. So we'll feel confident about that, and we'll approach it in that way, specific to what we've been working on this week, and see how things go after 90 minutes.
All right, Frank. How are you, mate? Good to see you're in good spirits, being bottom of the table, but not bottom of the table football. No, not our table. Yeah. Our table I'm talking about. Sorry, I'm not being that sort of. But just quickly, just to let you know, I'd love to see a shock there today, because I expect everyone's thinking that they're going to give you a good tanning. I really hope that you pack your defence out and you don't let them in, because they do go right in your face. They do go long ball in there. So hopefully your boys and Sol will lead the troops, and we'll be looking at the end of the day, see if there's a shock result on there, and it can help all these other teams that want to be up there and sort sort of hold Billericay back a little bit, and because we want to see some of these sort of sides like yourself that are sort of tweetering just to put at the bottom there and want to turn Billericay over.
Yeah, listen, I appreciate that, Mick, kind words, and that like I said, we just arrived here today. I've just turned up, and it's fantastic here. You know, the stadium, the setup, the pitch, you know, everything that's that sort of adds to the spectacle of the game, really. So, listen, we're going to enjoy ourselves today. I've driven 2 hours down the embankment. I'm here now, the sun's shining. I'm going to enjoy myself and make sure things get serious when the whistle goes.
Yeah, good luck today, mate. Yeah, Billericay, Harry's good guy down there, and Glenn, they're good lads. I'll be looking for that score along with Ben afterwards. Let's hopefully let you do the business today, mate.
Yeah, brilliant.
Cheers, guys. Thanks for that.
Thanks, Frank. Thanks for joining us on the show, and yeah, best of luck for the game a little bit later on. Right, that's it. That's another show done. Big thank you, of course, to Richard and Tom for joining us, and best of luck for your game this afternoon. We look forward to catching up with you at the end.
Thank you very much.
And big thanks to Mick Sullivan, of course, Remy, Luke and Dara for making the show happen today. Don't forget, you can relive the show on YouTube again throughout the week. And, of course, the Bostik League show today comes from Needham Market at Bloomfields as they take on Enfield Town. Bostik League show up tomorrow from 10 o'clock from all of us here right now. It's a very good afternoon.
Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back of the Net, where it matters.